Hello everyone. Welcome to Wikidata Education Week. My name is Sailesh Patnaik. I work as a program associate for education team at the Wikimedia Foundation. And today we will be speaking to Raisa and Rima to understand what they are doing in Wikidata and how they are using it in education. We are using Wikidata's 8th birthday to raise awareness about using or having the educational value of Wikidata. Welcome to the interview, Raisa and Rima. We are really glad to have you here. Please introduce yourself.
Okay, thank you, Sailesh, for having us in this interview, and we are very glad to celebrate the Wikidata birthday in the upcoming days. Okay, so I'll introduce myself first. Okay, my name is Raisa Abdillah. Currently, I'm a technology coordinator in Wikimedia Indonesia. I've been working for Wikimedia for around 2.5 years, and my first experience with Wikidata was when I was still in the third grade of undergraduate studies. I did my internship to import data from Indonesian Ministry of Home Affairs to Wikidata. So there are a lot of administrative data uh, that still in the PDF format, and after we put it in Wikidata, it can be useful in many projects. Okay, so I think that's all for me. And Rima, we can start.
That's very interesting.
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Rima. So I started contributing Wikidata at around 2013, if I remember correctly, because at that time I think Wikidata was uh, used primarily to host the interwiki links in Wikipedia projects. So when Wikidata first was launched, I contribute mainly only about interwiki links, and actually only around last year in local Indonesian Wikimedia contributor conference in Yogyakarta called Wiki Nusantara in April 2019, I met with Raisa and uh, I watched her presentation about Wikidata and how it can be used for various purposes and even research using it. So I think it certainly made my view on Wikidata much more broad. Instead of the in beforehand, I only think that Wikidata is for hosting interwiki link. And yeah, and after that, I start contributing mainly about various things actually. Actually, when I edit a Wikipedia article and I need to visit its Wikidata item page to add a new interwiki link, I usually try to complete other statements as well, trying to add new statement or edit the existing ones. But after that, I was actually taught by Raisa to use some tools like quick statements, and I start editing more about still Indonesian stuffs mainly about data in Indonesia. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that sounds very interesting. Like both of you are experienced editors on Wikidata, and it's really interesting to find the projects that you have used from using the government's data and adding it to Wikidata to using it for own volunteer edits. So I have a question for both of you. As you are all experienced Wikidata editors, have you used Wikidata for education?
Okay, so for education itself, during the last 2 years, me also with Wikimedia Indonesia team, we have done collaborations with several universities in Indonesia, like University of Indonesia, UPI YPTK University, Lampung University, and Satya Wacana Christian University. Usually, we conduct a full day session uh, about Wikidata. But first, we started to tell the students about the data literacy and then the importance of linked data. And then after that, we go straight into the concepts and components of Wikidata, and then how to use it. So the students will have a hands-on session to enter the data directly into Wikidata. And then most of the participants in this education program are university students who enrolled in computer science and information technology. So they are mostly already familiar with technical terms. But then again, I think using the RDF data structure is still very new in Indonesia, because usually when we talk about data, students will think that, oh, maybe we have to edit an Excel, an Excel or CSV, but now we are doing it in a knowledge base like Wikidata, and yeah, it's interesting because and there are also times when the lecturers want to collaborate with us to become a committee in the session. So the students, after they finish the Wikidata session, they have to answer several questions, which then the questions will be used as their homework score. So the teaching, the lecturers will put the mark of the students as a part of their course. Yeah, I think it's interesting because that way students will become more motivated in learning Wikidata. And we also encourage students to do research related to Wikidata. One of the around three students from University of Indonesia actually has done many things related to Wikidata. Like they built a site to convert the data from the uh, open data portal, which is done by the government, to Wikidata, and then the other student make assessment tool for Wikidata to see whether the data in Wikidata is diverse or is it balanced or not, because we see that the data currently the European data as well usually is very complete, but the data for other countries still very incomplete. So we hope that in the future there will be more students that's going to do more projects related to Wikidata.
That is very interesting. Like, we found this comparison of how the data that we get from
Mhm.
European governments is complete, but usually from other governments it's not. And it's good that the students are working on it to find out the diversity of this and the structuring of
Yeah.
that. You mentioned
Mhm.
one thing, Raisa. If you want to
Mhm.
share more about it, that would be really cool.
Mhm.
But you also mentioned how when you started doing this activities and
Mhm.
students were confused about spreadsheet and editing on Wikidata. How do you think when they learned editing with Wikidata, were they comfortable in contributing to Wikidata?
Yeah, they are comfortable, but to reach that point of comfortable, I have made like many different presentations. So if this one is not going to work, then I'm going to change the structure.
Yeah.
So yeah, there are a lot of presentation versions I have, and
Hmm.
uh, the current ones, I think the students are more comfortable if when we are telling them about Wikidata, uh, we are telling them about the components. Also, in the same time, they have to edit that components. That way, they can understand what change did they make, and then what's this structure means. And then
Okay.
we usually have to show them query, because most of them think that what's the point of editing Wikidata, but after they see the
Yeah.
query, they understand that, oh, this is what it means to have the data link with each other, because we can get more insights from the data.
That's very interesting. Thanks for sharing that. So, with all the uh, things that you have shared with us, my question comes now. Why do you think Wikidata is important for education?
Okay, I think it is important for education because it has so many potentials. Uh, we can take a look at the data. You know, the size of the data is very big, and there are many different topics covered in Wikidata, and I think it can be useful from people from many backgrounds, like not just from IT's background, but also from library science, museums, or arts, or even biology. So I think everyone should take a shot, to try themselves to use Wikidata. And then after that, its environment. I think it is very unique because Wikidata allows interaction with the data in a way that is both easy to be used by humans and also by computers. So people can add and edit data directly, but it can also be used in further projects. Like if someone wants to go uh, making a new program based on Wikidata, they can just tinker on with PyWikiBots and so on. Okay.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
Maybe Rima wants to add more insights about this topic. Mhm.
Yeah, I think in this day and age in uh, our very digitalized world, I think that to have an open access data and that can be freely edited by everyone, can be freely edited by everyone is very important. And uh, Wikidata holds that place as one of the many open repository databases there on the internet, but uh, it has its own specialty in that it doesn't really cover certain topics. You know, you can really add a lot kind of data to it, like not certainly about say like certain databases, certain open databases in the internet exist on only for certain topics. You know, like I think there are a lot of databases about genes. I think there are a lot of databases like in biology or maybe in geography, like OpenStreetMap is technically also an open repository database. I think Wikidata has that as a kind of advantage that everyone from a various background can benefit from it. And I think also in my experience during my university years, I actually did a lot of work on population data, on demographic data, and economic data, and a lot of it since back maybe even before the year 2000, Indonesia is not really that digitalized country. A lot of data that we have about population, about the economic of the people is there, but exists in print form. They only exist on books, on library. Like in my university, especially, I think they only had one copy for each province for each year of the census. Like so, they actually had a pretty good collection of census data, but all are still in books. And if you want to
Yeah,
research to it, like now using computers, like you still have to type it first, and that can take a lot of time. And also very interesting is about data before the Indonesian independence, before 1945. There are also exist a lot of data from that time, also still exist in books and in microfilm perhaps that I have experience with. The library store it in microfilm. They don't have the original copy because it's too old. Uh, and I think this kind of data, the particular historic data that I'm speaking right now, is that it's very important to have this kind of data. Maybe not uh, only in Indonesia, maybe in other countries as well. You can maybe found those kinds of data as well. I think it's very important to have them can be accessed freely by the public, and therefore that public can do more research about it. Therefore, that
Yeah.
people can yeah can basically they can tell more stories about it. Basically. And yeah, I think that's a particular advantage of Wikidata. And also, I think a lot of uh, data actually in particularly officials data that exists in Indonesia. Not sometimes they are not really complete. That sometimes they are not really that open, uh, and sometimes they are really hard to browse. Like you, so sometimes things that whether these are actually data or not, because there's actually web pages they only publish it in PDF documents, say.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, by having those data, say, imported to Wikidata, it can be really advantageous for research purposes and also be used in Wikimedia projects
Mhm.
uh, hmm, yeah, I think one of our community members in Indonesian Wikipedia also use uh, I think they made some kind of info box using only Wikidata directly using data from Wikidata, so that people don't have to type out all of the words about certain articles in using the traditional info box. So yeah, there can be a lot of use of Wikidata in education, and I think that. In Indonesia, we actually have several lecturers in University of Indonesia having a big interest in using data. I think Raisa has more experience with them before, but I want to highlight is that um, it's kind of still unfortunate that not I think uh, those lecturers, the professors that we have that have interest in open data source project like Wikidata, we are very fortunate to have them. Because say in my university, I don't really have a lot of teaching open teaching materials like open like being talked about. There are these kind of data that you can freely use, that you can freely contribute to. And I think it's important to uh, do more campaign on Wikidata in the educational institutions in Indonesia.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. Like, thanks for sharing all your aspects and experiences in that. One thing that I also understood from this is like Raisa mentioned earlier, student can do assessment of different data structure. They are studying how the data that comes from European governments are different from the data that comes from the Indonesian government, and they are also learning a lot of things with that, with the research they are doing and all. And so the Wikidata has a lot of research opportunities and learning opportunities when it's involved with education. And as Rima also mentioned, like how people can also use it for like people who don't have non like technical backgrounds, they can use it to contribute to Wikipedia. Who have technical backgrounds can use it to develop more applications around it. And you mentioned about the query services that students are learning how the data is visualized, how the linked data is required required for us. So that gives them more enthusiasm to contribute to Wikidata. I have another question which comes to my mind. As you both also mentioned that you got involved with Wikidata or Wikimedia projects when you were students, and probably you must have contributed to Wikipedia as well, and you also to the Wikidata. Did you find any difference while contributing to these projects while contributing to Wikipedia and contributing to Wikidata? Did you find any difference with that?
I think firstly, yes, because first time I open the Wikidata page is of course you are greeted with different kind of interface. You don't see any paragraphs, you don't see like pictures or beautiful graphs or say the classic square brackets every references like that in Wikipedia articles like so you kind of have to adjust yourself a little bit and learn where things and what does statement means, what does when a property means. uh, challenge for me mainly was that I think because I did not know what the data was being used for. I think because I feel like I was adding only certain links. I think well, I would think that someone would at least use it on Wikidata info box somewhere and Wikimedia projects. But after seeing Raisa's presentations that I mentioned before in Nusantara, and I see that there are a lot of use that we can make out of Wikidata.
Okay. And as for me, of course, contributing in Wikipedia and Wikidata is different. But actually, I first started to contribute in Wikidata first. Then after that, I started contributing in Wikipedia because I think it is harder for me to contribute in Wikipedia because I'm not a person that likes to write a lot. And in Wikipedia, we have to make sure that this particular knowledge can be understood by other person. And I find myself liking Wikidata environment more because if we can get trusted data source, then we can put it in Wikidata, and we can also make programs from Wikidata or programs that use Wikidata.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's for me. And then at first, when I was still a student, I find it is actually a little bit hard for me also to get what is Wikidata actually, because I know that this is useful, but in what way? And back then, there is not many presentation. There are not many course materials that I can read about Wikidata. So I just have to figure it out and then asking from other people. Yeah, but thankfully, I feel happy because right now there are a lot of materials that we can get to learn Wikidata. Yeah, so
Yeah, and you're using them to train students these days by
yeah.
creating those materials. Yeah, that's very interesting for with like how you created these materials and
Mhm,
involving students in that.
mhm,
So I have that comes with the last question I have, or you feel free to share more of your work of how you're using Wikidata in education. But for someone who just want to get started by using Wikidata in education, or just want to start, what should they do? What should they follow? And how do you think that they should start their first step in using Wikidata for education?
I think if they are not really experienced with Wikimedia projects before, or maybe only have experiences in Wikipedia, they can start to search for data that they are familiar about. I think if you are, say, a demographer, like I mentioned before, maybe you could explore some of the data that has not yet been in Wikidata that you have access to, and maybe try adding them more, adding more references even to it. So I think, and after that, you can try the more advanced things and maybe try querying things from that, like querying things, the things that you have added before, to see whether it can work or not. And I think in sometimes I myself, I'm not very sure whether say I want to add a new statement to an item. I'm not very sure whether it is right or not. I sometimes use the sandbox item. Uh, it, I usually have them bookmarked on my browser, so I can easily access it. Uh, and yeah, and there are a lot of resources also on the internet about Wikidata, and you can read them if you need probably more advanced help.
Thanks.
Yes. Okay. Then for me, I agree with Rima that starting from something that we are familiar with is very important. Uh, for example, if I want to tell other people about Wikidata, I learn first about their background. If they're from someone that uh, let's say from music background, then I'm going to show them the musician items or an item about song, and then it will make them easier to learn that, oh, this is how the data is structured in Wikidata. And then not just the data, but I also show them query that might take their interest, because it is very important to make them understand that Wikidata is actually very familiar with everyone. Like you don't have to be intimidated with its interface.
Yeah.
And then after that, I think it is also important. This is for from educators' perspective to have more diverse materials. So not just presentations, but also to have YouTube videos. Me and Rima and me and Rima are planning to make YouTube videos so that uh, students anywhere can learn from the videos, because I think everyone really like YouTube videos right now. When I went to other universities, usually the lecturers ask me, where can I find the Wikidata tutorials? Because
Mm.
for them it is actually a little bit hard to browse around the media wiki site, you know. I mean,
Yeah.
for us, for someone like Rima or Silas or me, it will be easy for us, you know, to find stuff. But for others, it can be hard to find. Where is the introduction page? And then if I did something wrong, what should I do? You know, things like that. And maybe if we can have more interactive tutorials, they can be uh, understand it. They can understand it easily. Yeah, and then after that, I think it is also important to make them engage with the community. So after the session ends, this is actually still in the planning, but I hope that all the students can be put in Wikidata group, so that those who want to know more about it can ask about Wikidata to other experienced users. That way they won't feel alone, and they will feel that they are a part of community, because it is important to make them feel that way. Uh, since uh, I uh, since I get this question a lot, that uh, if Wikidata can be edited by everyone, then yeah, will the quality be bad because someone might do something, might write something wrong in Wikidata, you know, things like that. And I say that it is important for us to just focus on the positive things in Wikidata, that if there are more people that's going to use Wikidata, then Wikidata quality will also be better, because those people that do vandals will be catch on earlier, you know. So, yeah, it's important to make them feel welcome in the community.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's great.
yeah.
Go ahead, sorry.
Sorry, I want to add a little bit on Raisa. Yeah, I agree about the last part about uh, the worriness whether having a lot of people able to contribute to the data will make the data bad. Well, it's not necessarily will make the data bad, but in my experience on working with a lot of data from several different sources, I think there are no so-called perfect data, like
Mhm.
data
Yeah.
that has no flaw in it. I
Yeah.
think I think yeah, I think Wikidata still has the advantage of cover a lot of things, but in so far that I have used it and compared to other data that I can find on the internet, Wikidata is still a lot better than other databases out there. Uh, and of course, you can still fix it. Maybe you can uh, do some fixes using a lot of tools available for Wikidata. So yeah, it still has a lot of advantages on in being openly sources.
Yeah, that's true. I just have like there's a question. Also, want to thank you for sharing, giving us all these insights of your program and how you're running these programs and how students are contributing to it. Um, I just have a question. Have your students used, like when they contributed to Wikidata, have they used those data to create visualizations or create something? Like you mentioned, Raisa before, they have created some website for doing assessment. Or have they done any kind of visualization with the data they have added to Wikidata?
Uh, Excuse me. The validation related to
Uh,
data. Huh?
Visualization, like creating visualization or
Oh,
infographic using, yeah,
okay. Related to visualization, uh, right now, there currently there isn't any projects related to visualization, but hopefully there will be more students that's going to do that project in the future because yeah, that one is interesting, right? I
yeah,
like to show them like Histropedia or Scholia. Like this is
yeah,
how you can
exactly.
power visualization that you can aim with Wikidata, and
Yeah.
I think it is important for them to learn that it can be used. And
Mhm.
since right now uh, we are still struggling to get the lecturers to learn Wikidata because sadly, some of the lecturers still see that if you're using Wikidata, it is not a credible source, but it is actually a very old paradigm that still uh, people still has that uh, that uh, that opinion about
Yeah, opinion. Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
about wiki ecosystem, and hopefully it will change in the future days. Mhm.
Yeah, I think like all the work you are doing probably is going to change that opinion about Wikipedia or Wikidata.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for giving your time today, and I really want to thank for all the work you are doing. Just before you leave, what are some future plans with the Wikidata work you are doing, and did you face any challenges during this pandemic with the work that you were doing?
Mhm.
Okay, Rima, you want to go first, maybe? Mm.
Uh, with this pandemic, I think it's very unfortunate for us in Wikimedia Indonesia that we cannot hold offline events and offline workshops uh, before the pandemic, and some actually a lot of our projects were held offline, meeting up with communities in various cities in Indonesia. So with this pandemic, we cannot go to outside of uh, online meeting. The online events are allowed, and then certainly mm, serves as an obstacle in our projects currently,
Mhm.
but we are still navigating around how we can still make the most out of the resources that currently we have.
Mhm.
We have uh, for this what you call grant what for this year since July we have held two sessions of training on Wikidata. Both were online, both were held online, and the enthusiasm from the people that enroll in both of the sessions were, I would say, they were pretty good because a lot of people actually got enrolled that we need to close the form rather earlier than we have thought.
Mhm.
Yeah, I hope we are still trying to explore what options that
Yeah.
we can that, that we can pursue next.
Mhm.
And we have a small competition on Thursday, Wikidata birthday, 8th birthday, and
That's nice.
we are working on it.
Yeah, it's the same with what Rima has said before. Yeah, it's true that we are still working to navigate the programs in the pandemic situation because after we held those two online meetings, we realized that it needs a different approach than working on site because usually people tend to lose their concentration when they are doing the stuff online. There are so many distractions, maybe from their environment or maybe it was network issues and so on. And we are trying to make more interactive meetings with the people, and also hopefully we can release more course material so that those that can come to the meetups can still learn by themselves. And also hopefully we can also collaborate with several institutions, maybe open data club, or maybe the club in the universities. If they have free time, maybe we are going to hold a more, more relaxed environment to edit Wikidata online together. Yes, because I think everything is switched to online meetings nowadays. So,
Yeah, that's true.
yeah.
That's true. And okay, thanks again for joining us today, Raisha and Rima. It was really interesting session. I learned a lot about how you are using Wikidata in education. I'm sure the audience that will be watching this will also be very interested to from your work or be. And we have some more session this week. You can switch to tomorrow watching live the interview with Shani and Nevosha. And thanks everyone. Thanks for watching us today live. Bye.
Okay. Bye. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.